Oh, we're live.
Okay.
Awesome.
Oh my goodness. Now we're here together.
What's
Joe,
up?
good to see you, my friend.
I am, fine and dandy right now, just dandy, and I'm happy to be here with you.
Good. Well, welcome everybody. My name is Jonathan Pogash, the Cocktail Guru. This is my show, Some Good Booze, where we talk about inspiring, positive stories, and we celebrate by making cocktails together. And sometimes I choose to have special guests. Very rarely, it is an honor to have this next special guest joining me. He is none other than a good friend, an amazing bartender, an inspiring, an inspiring individual in the hospitality community, Mr. Joe Pereira.
And happy Tuesday. Delighted to be here. And you know what? This is the house I grew up in. So you guys can check it out. And, of course.
That's wild. Look at that.
Bertian family always has a picture of the Last Supper that's been in my house since 1969.
That's amazing.
Lots of roosters. There's roosters everywhere. My mom has a thing about roosters, and even the placemat. There's a rooster.
Wow.
And,
well, it's apropos because we're in the cocktail industry, right?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And you've got a lot of roosters, cocktails. Get it? Cocktails.
Boom. You are wicked smart, my man.
Right? Wicked. Look at that. Wicked smart. Wicked smart. I love it. Can I read you some positive news that I just saw?
Sure. Please.
Okay. So, like I said, we always like to share the positive, inspiring stories and then go on to making cocktails. So I have some news. I think you might have some news. Okay. On this day in 1915, the jazz singer-songwriter Billie Holiday was born.
What?
Yeah. I love her music. My grandmother was a huge fan of Billie Holiday, and we started listening to Billie Holiday, nicknamed Lady Day.
Lady Day, yep.
Also, on this day in 1956, the first rock and roll show to be nationally broadcast premiered on the CBS radio network, and it was called Alan Freed's Rock and Roll Dance Party.
Who was it? I'm sorry?
Alan Freed's Rock and Roll Dance Party.
Oh, fantastic. Rock and roll, 1956. Think about that.
I know. Wild.
Our parents are still, wow. That's incredible just to think about rock and roll is that young in terms of a form of American music. That's positive. What do I have that's positive? It was more stems from a conversation that I was having last night with someone, and it was about the spirit of spirit cocktail. Here we're going with all this, right?
I get it.
We know what's happening. We know what we're facing today, and there's a certain level of unknown. But one of the things to draw hope to is the ability to adapt and to adjust to what it is that's happening. Look on to the people within our industry, April Wachtel, Effie. I'm going to mess up your last name, Pagalagonogokos. This is
Effie Patagopoulos.
Effie Rebecca Quinones, Nectalia Mendoza, all of these people who have the spirit of entrepreneurship, who've always found a way to take what's been given and to readapt, to reemerge, and come back bigger, better, and stronger than before. So it's been the story of American history from the moment of people coming here for religious freedoms with the Pilgrims to the unfortunate part of the travesty of slavery. But from that, adapting and becoming the fabric of this society and just moving onward and upward and forward. It's an American story. It's an incredible time. So don't think about all of the things of being trapped in the house, not being able to go to work and not being able to see friends and family like we've done. But there is a silver lining, and you have to look for the cracks of sunlight, cracks of hope that are there to move on up and move forward. So
I love that.
I think we're in a great time, and I think it's how we look at that time that will make.
Those cracks of sunlight will be getting bigger and bigger as the days, as the weeks, as the months go on.
Yep, exactamundo. So to say all that, let's celebrate spirit and let's celebrate two classic cocktails that we're gonna make. I think you're gonna make both. I'll make both of them, and we can tell a little bit of history and stories about them, of things that we know about these cocktails off the top of our head. So go ahead, name our cocktails for today.
I believe you are doing a Boulevardier and a Negroni.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm doing a Negroni, but a Bianco Negroni.
Coming with that fire, Daddy. I see you. I'm just thinking the original recipes because, I'm really horrible at like being creative or anything like that.
No, that's not true. That's not true.
Okay, it's not true. Yeah, let's talk about off the top. I mean, 1919, Count Negroni goes to London and he comes back to Florence, Italy, and he has this amazing epiphany of taking the Americano, which is the granddaddy of the Negroni, and saying, "Hey, bartender, let's get rid of this soda water and stiffen this drink up a little bit and add some gin." And there you have it. The Negroni is alive with equal parts of vermouth, sweet vermouth, Campari, and gin. And then the Boulevardier for you came back a couple of years later, about 10 years later. It shows up in print in Paris. A Scottish bartender says, "Hey man, let's take this gin out and let's add some rye." And here you have this amazing cocktail. Both unbelievably wonderful standards in the cocktail industry, especially for us in this community, but might be new for people who are our guests in front of bars or clients that we work for.
Right.
But talk your spin on the classic Negroni.
Yeah. So, for those who are not familiar with Campari is a pretty potent, aromatic, citrus, grapefruit, bitter flavor. And for a lot of people, it's not necessarily their cup of tea. A lot of people say, either you love it or you hate it. I don't agree with that. I definitely think that there's a middle ground. People who say it's too bitter or too strong, they just haven't had it prepared the right way for them. But nowadays you have brands, classic Italian brands, that are toning down the bitterness, the real potency, the proof also of something like Campari, taking the proof down, adding a little bit more sweetness. So Luxardo has this bitter Bianco. And so it's just a Bianco version or a clear version of Campari, or more like Aperol because it's a little sweeter and lower proof. And we're using gin, obviously. And then instead of sweet vermouth, we're using dry or white or Bianco vermouth, basically. So it's a clear, colorless drink.
Oh, okay. That's like really cool, especially like if you're sitting from across the bar and you see all these different ingredients coming in and they're clear and you're like, okay, you just put in 3 different things. Like, what is that? I like it's when guests look at it and like, especially when you make like a Ramos, what is that? I want that cocktail. So right,
and then everybody orders a Ramos and you're like, ah.
Yeah, but I love it though because I usually end up having it all over me. It's kind of fun. But for me today, what you basically described, since I'm going to make these 2 drinks, listen, I'm going to stick with one of the finest ryes I've had in the United States because the original calls for rye. Bourbon became much later, but we're going to go ahead and stick with Mad River Revolution Rye, which has this beautiful chocolate undertones, baking spices, and I think how it dances in the glass with the Campari and the sweet vermouth.
Dances in the glass.
Yeah, you like that? So what we're going to do is we're going to just, in reverse order, because I'm just going to pour a little bit of the spirit. We're just going to do 1 ounces of each. So I'm going to start with, there's our ounce of the Mad River rye. And my spirit of choice has always been gin, especially since the 90s when I first started getting behind the bar in Washington, D.C. And now I have this incredible gin called Ascor gin out of Iceland. It is phenomenal. It's in the style of London Dry, which is
very
fantastic.
Cool. Yeah.
So we're going to go 1 ounce of that. And my man, I'm going to get you a bottle of this because you're going to just think the world of it. Okay?
Hey, how could I refuse?
Right. For sweet vermouth Martini Rossi, I'm going to stick with the classic. This is a really beautiful, wonderful product, and I really enjoy it. So we're going to do 1 ounce of this. We're going to do 1 ounce of this as well here. Okay. And then lastly, we have what you talked about, the Campari. And this is just beautiful. So we're just going to go ahead and answer this because we have a lot of time here.
Oh, I see. You're doing two at the same time.
Yeah, I'm doing two at the same time. Unbelievable. It's when I was working at Herbs and Rye, I never did that. It was always one drink at a time.
I know that. I know that for a fact.
Right? Yeah, best high volume bar in 2016, right? So here we have our cocktails that are in front of me. And then what I'm going to do is before I add the ice to these cocktails after I built them in the glass, I'm going to take the stir. Gas Regan. We're going to talk about that in a minute. I'm just going to give it a quick stir. But before I move over to the gin from the rye, I'm just going to give my stir a nice little.
Joe, can you do me a favor? Can you lift the glass up and stir a little bit so I can? Yeah.
Bam! Here we go. We already stirred. So let's add some ice. Here we go. Okay. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to stir the rye first. Well, hey, in the spirit of Gaz, hey, I got his finger here. Why don't I just use mine? I'm home.
You're home. You washed your hands for 20 seconds. You're fine.
With lots of soap. And then I'm going to go ahead and do the gin one as well.
Right.
Well, we're not going to wait. And then I'm going to express with citrus oils the orange peel.
For those of you at home who are not familiar with, well, you were going to talk about Gaz Regan, but the finger stirred Negroni is a thing. But go ahead.
Yeah. And then, the Americano came with the lemon peel. And when Count Negroni wanted the gin, substituting the soda water, instead of using the lemon peel so it'd be able to distinguish, that's when the orange peel came about. But both cocktails get an orange peel in the classic versions that are here. You go.
I love it. Okay, so I'm going to stir my cocktail and then strain it out into my glass. So I have my beautiful, fancy Japanese etched mixing glass. A gin from Massachusetts, Privateer.
What? Privateer is delicious.
It's delicious, isn't it? So this is equal parts. I'm doing 1 ounce of my Privateer gin. I'm doing 1 ounce of my Luxardo Bitter Bianco. I'm doing 1 ounce of my Bianco Vermouth, which is the Carpano Bianco. And that's it, folks, right? Easiest. Listen, this is like the easiest cocktail in the world. You can stir it and then strain it over ice if you want to, or you don't even have to. You could just build it right in the glass and just give it a quick little stir. And I'll take my beautiful pineapple spoon. Yeah. Give it a stir. Do a little dance.
Do a little dance, make a little love. It's Negroni night. Boulevardier is right.
Right, there we go.
Boom. Don't waste nothing.
Okay, so it's sweeter than a traditional Negroni. It's how I enjoy it. So this is how I'm making it. I have this beautiful cube. I don't know if you can see the mint leaf.
What?
My wife made these for me.
Fantastic. Well, I'm single, so I have to do it all on my own. So.
Thank you, Megan. Thank you for making me this. So just straining it right out. And if you look at that, this is beautiful. And I'm doing an orange half wheel or half moon.
Wow.
Look right in there.
That is beautiful. Wow, here, I'm going to
You're double fisting.
Look at these beautiful red colors that they are. Cheers, buddy.
I love the beautiful. Cheers. I'm going to take a sip.
Ooh. I'm going over our Revolution Rye here.
It's super. I love it. I could just sip it. Spend time sipping it while I prepare dinner, or just outside with family, or on my own, staring up at the sky. Whatever brings you joy.
Sitting on the patio deck, it's all good, baby.
This is great. I love it.
Listen, John, I just want to say, man, you make cocktails for people, and they're wonderful. And I just can't wait to be behind a bar with you, or wherever I end up. down here in New Bedford or back out in Las Vegas or hanging out with my buddies in Washington, D.C. But, you know, a cocktail is a mere garnishment to a guest experience. And thank you for allowing me to be your guest today here at Cocktail Guru, man, because if you like it, I love it, baby.
It is my pleasure. Thank you, Joe Pereira, for joining me today. Thank you all on Facebook and on YouTube for joining us. So thank you, guys. If you said hi, if you commented, I can't see it, but I'll respond later. We'll both respond later. Continue to join us every day, 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time here on Facebook Live and on YouTube Live. Also, there is some content on Instagram. So thank you, everyone. Have a wonderful, wonderful evening.
Be good to each other.